Hi. So, for my cultural investigation, I decided to reflect on when I went to get my hair cut about 2 weeks ago. Um, First of all, I when I decided to go get my hair cut, um, I didn't really have a plan. I went into town and was just kind of hoping that I would find a place that was relatively cheap and um, open at the time when I went. So this probably wasn't the best plan, but one thing that I have noticed here that is very different from the U.S. is how early the mall in Sterling closes. It usually closes around 5:30ish, which is very early comparatively. So the place I was going to go ended up closing before I had a chance to get an appointment in. So I ended up having to go to a place that was a bit more expensive than I was hoping, but it was a very interesting experience. I'm not altogether sure if what I was experiencing was truly cultural differences or just maybe a more higher end salon than I'm used to going to just to get a haircut. But it was interesting to compare the two. Um, So the place I went to was actually called Narcissus, which is kind of a telltale name, if you ask me. But the haircut itself was not that expensive. It wasn't too bad. It was more than I would usually spend, but I really wanted to get my hair cut that day, and I didn't know any other place that was open at the moment. So, um, first of all, I'll start out with what I saw. It was a relatively small place, but compact, as is true of a lot of things in the UK. There's a lot of people packed into such a small country in compared to the US, which is huge by comparison. So I've noticed that about a lot of the buildings too. So it was, a regular kind of corner store type of idea with at least 20 chairs, 20, barber chairs shoved in there. Um, but it felt efficient. It didn't feel crowded. It felt very efficient. Um, there were a good number of employees in there. What something that I found very interesting, a difference was there seemed to be almost a hierarchy of workers there, which I suppose is not unusual. But there were specific people who were like the hair washers. That's not an official term, but um, they were standing kind of like by the side of the door. And like when I came in, they offered to take my jacket, and um, they were specifically there to wash the hair. Like they just did the shampooing. They didn't cut anyone's hair. And when I met with the lady who was going to cut my hair, she called one of them over to wash my hair for her. I thought that was interesting. They were also were kind of, it almost felt subservient. I'm sure it wasn't that way, but there were like specific, you know, they weren't, they had like a different set of duties than the salon, the stylists. Um, Apart from that, a lot of the salon was very similar to any salon that I've ever been to. It was the same conversation that I heard, um, just small talk, like, what are you doing in Sterling? Or do you study at the uni? Just normal conversation. There wasn't anything unusual there. Also, the way she cut my hair was pretty much the same. I mean, you can't really get much different, but um, she asked the same questions, like, do you want shorter here, longer there? And that was pretty much the same kind of idea. Um, the another difference though was when the lady was shampooing my hair, she asked me um, how, like, she was like, when she was like scrubbing my head, she was like, "Does this feel okay?" And I'm not sure. I guess she was kind of giving me a head massage, but it was kind of interesting. I've never had anyone ask me, "Am I shampooing your head okay?" So that was kind of different. I was a little put off by that, but other than that, pretty much everything. The same smells, shampoo, chemicals, same sounds and same feels. Um, I can't say that I did anything really terribly wrong in this situation, but I was a little embarrassed at the beginning. Something that's different is it costs extra to like get your hair blow dried. Like a cut and a blow dry is more than just getting it cut and then just leaving it wet. I've never encountered that in the States. So when the lady asked me, would you like a cut and a blow dry? And I was really confused at first. I was unsure of what she was talking about. And I'm pretty sure she picked up pretty quickly that I was not from around here. She, I kind of maybe thought that maybe she thought I was really slow, but that's okay. So yes, a blow dry costs extra. So I just went for the wet cut. But the other difference I noticed, one of the hair washing people offered me a drink, and I thought that was kind of unusual too. She's like, "Do you want tea or water or something?" And I was like, I had some water, but I just thought that was also unusual. The other thing was, I'm sure this would happen at any place, but I had actually run into town. So I was wearing my running clothes, and I felt very out of place in my sneakers and like jacket, and everyone was dressed very nicely, very nicely, and was very like made up, etc., etc. And I was kind of sweaty. I felt kind of bad, but so that was kind of an interesting experience. But that's probably more of a difference in the quality of the salon that I was at, as opposed to being in a different country. As far as how locals see the place, it's probably very similar to the U.S. For what I could tell, most of the women in there, I didn't really see any men. Most of the women reacted to and saw the salon similarly to how customers in a higher end salon would feel in the U.S. They just seeing it as a place to feel beautiful and to feel pampered. I, I think probably they all see a salon as the same type of thing as in the U.S. Although if I was a local, I probably would have known to go to a better priced salon or something like that. So as far as that's concerned, more experience may have helped in that. But as far as how people see salons in the UK, they're there for a function, getting your hair cut. So I can't imagine that they would, from what I can tell, that they would see it any differently. As far as responses to other people's posts, I wanted to respond to Megan's because I also have noticed how uniform all of the historical sites and museums are here. There's like a company, I guess it's maybe a national company, but called Historic Scotland, and like almost all the historical places and museums and monuments fall under that and are taken care of by that. So if like all the like, I don't know, plaques or whatever in front of the Historic Scotland, it's just like the same, it's like a giant corporation. I'm not really sure, but I also have found that very interesting. One thing that I've noticed is all the gift shops are almost the same. I mean, you can get slightly different things like relating to which site you're actually at, but for the most part, a lot of the goods in the gift shops are the same, like the same kinds of jewelry, same kinds of like scarves, postcards, which is kind of funny. It's got like, go to one gift shop, you've seen them all. And I also wanted to respond to Francis about my own specific experience with the education system. I know they told us a lot about how different the education system would be. In a lot of ways, I have noticed that it's not that different, but it is. But yes, the note-taking is interesting. I also have recently encountered, been surprised by how people prepare for class. In my biology class, we had a midterm today, and I was kind of stressing out about having 5 chapters of biology to read before today. And so I was talking to the girl that lives across from me. She is a regular Scottish student, and I had asked her if she had read any of the biology yet, and she was like, "Oh, I don't really read the book." She just looks at the PowerPoints, and apparently she did very well last semester by just reading the PowerPoints. But that was so different to me because, the professor suggested that we read all those chapters, and he always posted which chapters were, corresponding to which lectures. So I found it interesting that it seems like no one actually does the reading. They just read the slides, which he does make very good slides, but I thought that was interesting that no one actually read anything. And I have noticed that before, but I read the book after all, just to be safe, but I thought that was interesting that not everyone reads. So I think that's it. For my experience getting my haircut in the UK, it was definitely interesting and enlightening. Hopefully I won't have to get it done again, but I probably will. But anyway, it's pretty short in the back. Well, see you later, bye.